Hello, I'm Benjamin Perry, and I will be reviewing the book Old Man's War by John Scalzi. My book, Old Man's War, is about the main character, John Perry. As he turns 75 years old, he goes and joins the space military, the Colonial Defense Forces. In there, he travels to different universes, different planets, and he gets a new body, which makes him superhuman. So he's no longer old. He has an old mind, but his body is young, new, which allows him to fight these crazy aliens, and you just see him progress throughout the story, adapting to new situations, and eventually reaching a low level of captain. After telling people about my book, I polled them and asked if they thought there was going to be under or over 10,000 deaths mentioned in my book. Out of the 32 people I polled, 9 of them said under, and the other 23 said over. The 23 people that said over were correct, as in this line, it shows that there is over 10,000 deaths. The Stephen King on-writing elements that I would like to apply to this book will be character, dialogue, and story pace. For characters, Stephen King says to make them as real life as possible, like a real human that you would see in everyday life. John Perry, the main character, fits that description very well. In the story, he feels remorse, as anyone would, of killing aliens. He battles with that throughout the story, and it just shows that he is like a real human that has compassion for other creatures. On the opposite side of this character spectrum, you have aliens that don't act human at all, and then don't follow Stephen King's on-writing advice. Also, within the Colonial Defense Forces, they have special forces. These were bred just for war, and so they've came into conscious for 6 years, so they have the same interaction level of a 6-year-old. However, they're super warriors that can fight really well, and so they learn to act like normal human beings, and so it's really interesting to see those type of characters in the story. For dialogue, Scalzi really follows King's advice and gives each character in the story its own voice. As for the main character, John, he is sarcastic and tries to be funny, even in the most serious of circumstances. Scalzi also adds brain pals, which are these chips that are implanted in the characters' brains that allows them to communicate without speaking out loud, so they can communicate telepathically. And this brain pal also sends out emotions to some people, so it really adds another layer to the dialogue in these combat scenes where they don't want to talk out loud, so they don't give away their position to the enemies. The last on-writing element that I would want to talk about is story pacing. In this story, it starts out kind of slow because it has to build the universe. We have to learn about what the Colonial Defense Force is. We have to learn about different aliens, and we have to learn about John as a character himself. And so the story does a good job at giving this information consistently, it kept me engaged throughout the entire story. So even though the pacing's a little slow at the beginning, it picks up, and the information presented is in an ideal, streamlined way. Overall, Scalzi does a good job applying Stephen King's advice to this book, and it really adds to the story. I really enjoyed Old Man's War by John Scalzi. The story was engaging. I really liked the universe set up by Scalzi, and the main character, John Perry, was really engaging. I liked how he had to face adversity, losing a lot of his friends that he met along his journey, but in the end, he grew as a person. All things considered, I would give Old Man's War by John Scalzi an 8 out of 10. Thank you everyone for watching my review of the book Old Man's War. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.